Oh my gosh, if I look tired, it's because in the middle of the night, no, Miss Clavel did not turn on her light and say something is not right. I turned on my light and I answered my phone. And on the other line was this thick Bostonian accent that was like, Shelley? And I said, Steve? And he said, you have to make that mammoth video a tag. And I said, what are you talking about? And then he ended it with, oh yeah, and Frida is much cuter than Harry. I would say that this was an unusual occurrence, but drunk dialing from Steve happens often. So in order to avoid more drunk dials in the future, we're going to weaponize the video that I made into a tag. I am shocked that Steve has not done it himself, since he is such a pariah. Well, I guess I'm not shocked because he is a pariah I can't even do it in his Bostonian accent, though I wish I could. I need to practice on my own time and not on camera. But I'm just surprised that he has not weaponized this into a tag, but it could be also because he is the pariah of our community. Or a pariah. I can't even do it. And I was like, and the jab at the end saying that your mini schnauzer is cuter than my mini schnauzer. How dare you? How dare you? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 more mammoths that are worth the page count. And I want you all, if you're watching me, you are tagged. If you don't make videos, then you can leave it in the comments down below. I'll allow it. But if you are a video maker, you must, and I mean must in must do this tag. Capital letters, must. Here's the deal. You're going to show at least 3 mammoths that you think are worth the page count. Even if there's some overlap with the mammoth that I've talked about in recent weeks. I want to hear your opinions on mammoths. Yes. So 3 mammoths, that would be about 800 pages or more. I'm cheating ever so slightly with, I think, one of them. A pat on the back, an extra pat on the back if you can make it a classic, okay? Or a nonfiction, actually. So we're looking for really long books that you think were worth every single page. And technically a mammoth is 800 pages or more. So that's the deal. If you're watching it, you're tagged. But I will also leave a list of wonderful booktubers that you should all follow, listed down below, okay? So this is what's happening. So here we go. Also, just Steve, turn off your phone if you've been drinking. Just some advice. All right. All right. So I'm going to actually echo a book that Steve talked about in a recent video that I think is it's just a genius book. And I don't talk about it enough on my channel. And it's The Instance of the Fingerpost by Ian Pears. This is about a murder in 1663. It's about a murder, and we get 4 very different accounts of this murder. And what's interesting is that many of the accounts will overlap in events, but obviously told in a very different way, including the head of a very non-sane person. Like his view of reality is very different than anyone else's view of reality. But anyway, so with every account we get this overlap, right? But then it also kind of pushes the story a little bit further, reveals more about the story. So it's not exactly the same events, but it's like similar events are covered in every account. And at the very end, oh my gosh, did this have a satisfying ending. Now this pocket paperback is like 730 pages about. So not quite at the 800 mark, but I didn't want to give up, just echoing what Steve said about how great this book is, because it really is a fantastic book, and it will stick with you, shockingly. I think, yeah, anyways, I really like this. I have not had a chance to talk about it more, and I'm glad to say that now. The next book, oh my goodness, I've talked about all the good mammoths in my life. I need to read more so I can talk about more. The next one is going to be M, Son of the Century by Antonio Scarlatti. This book is, again, oh my gosh, it's not quite 800. Okay, well, we're close. Okay, it's just under 800 pages. It's 773 pages in this hardcover. I'm sure if you made this a paperback, it would be 800. So we're cheating a little bit here. This is going to be about Mussolini and how Mussolini came to power. Actually, a lot of it is like the inspiration that Mussolini gained in order to get to power, but also it does an incredible job talking about the Italian mindset just after World War I and why they were so vulnerable to fascism. Pre-World War II. We don't even quite get to World War II here. It's really just the setup. This is supposed to be a quartet, and I very much wish that the translator, I think it's Anne Milano Appel. That's right, I was close. Who translated this book. I wish she would just get to it and translate the next book, because this is a phenomenal reading experience. Also, just I talk about this book, I think, relatively often, but just still not enough for the amazingness that is this book. It's worth every page. I think that this book blends cinematic writing with this folding in of nonfiction. So in between chapters, there's actually little blurbs, little communications that are put in that are nonfiction, that of when people were worried or concerned about this, that, and the other that has to do with the chapter that you just read, or it's setting up for the chapter that you're going to read. And it feels, I don't know, there's something very grounding about those little tidbits. Extremely grounding about those little tidbits, because, it's not just like this, it's not just this historical fiction story where so much is leaning on fiction to tell the story. It's just so well done. It's an amazing book, okay? Like, it is an amazing book. And I very much encourage anybody, if you're interested in historical fiction, in even like politics, history, or you just love a great book, this is amazing. It's amazing. Okay, so next up are the choices are a little, they're great, but they're maybe not going to be for everybody. So the first one is going to be, this is our first over 800 page book, and it is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Talk about a cinematic read. This is incredibly immersive. It's brutal. It's really a tough read, but that's like the point of it. In some instances, I think authors are intentionally trying to stretch the reader. And the stretch here is just begging for reprieve and moments of happiness for the characters that you so dearly love in this book. This book is about 4 friends and their lives, the way that their lives both, are together but are separate, and slowly you start to focus in on one particular character that actually a lot of the friends don't know much about, Jude. And we start to get Jude's backstory, and oh my gosh, it is the most brutal thing I have ever read, but also some of the most stunning and mesmeric writing I've ever encountered. It is a phenomenal read, and if you haven't read it and you're kind of like, did it give me disturbing nightmares for a week? Absolutely, it did. Actually, probably for the 3 weeks that I read it, but it was so good. Talk about a book with stick-to-itiveness. So good. It was such a good book. And then the final book is probably the hardest sell because it's the 3rd book in a trilogy. But the thing is that I see so many people reading 2 of the 3 books, and I'm like, y'all need to get to that 3rd book because it's so good. It's so worth it. The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel. So this is the 3rd book in her Thomas Cromwell series. This comes in at almost all of my choices were slightly under 800 pages. So, you all can bend the rules when you come up with your own list as well. This one is, I think, 757 pages. And the thing is that the first 2 books really cover the Boleyn years, the Anne Boleyn years of King Henry VIII's court. And the way that Cromwell was influenced, or it had influenced that affair, at least the Cromwell that Hilary Mantel builds, who is just phenomenal. I mean, I'm like slightly in love with the Cromwell that Hilary Mantel, builds in her writing. He's so amazing. So in this last book, I think what's interesting is that you're seeing Cromwell's fall. You're seeing his fall from grace, his fall from, yeah, it really is his fall in the favor of King Henry VIII's court, right? Or for the fall from the, you know what I'm saying. Okay, because I'm like, I can hear myself and how sometimes, how off I am. And I'm like, just keep going. So what's interesting about this book, though, is that there is this sense of reflection that Cromwell is having on his life. So it's like we're going through and you see the interactions becoming more slippery, like his control in the court is becoming less tight, right? But sort of as that's happening, he is also, Cromwell himself is reflecting on the meaning of his life and certain things that have happened. And I don't know, it's this weird thing that doesn't quite happen in the first 2 books about like both nostalgia and memory and the preciousness of the life that you've lived that is in this book that doesn't exist in the other ones. Some of the most just beautifully rendered and wise writing are in these pages. They're so good. So yeah, this is the last one. I know it's kind of a hard bit because but I know there's a bunch of you out there who have read the first 2 books. And I'm not trying to call you out on purpose, but I know there's a bunch of you who've read the first 2 books and you're like, it's the length. I don't know. The ending too. Oh my gosh, will it stick with you? Oh my gosh, will it stick with you? Love this book so much. And yeah, that is it. So you were all tagged, every single one of you. If you're seeing me on your screen, you are tagged. And I expect all of you to do it, okay? If only to spare me from more drunk phone calls, guys. Like, please make it a thing. I don't want to be woken up in the middle of the night. I love my precious sleep. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!